video is going to be how to solve and graph inequalities. It is setting up in our interactive notebooks, page 37 and 38. 37 is going to be the white half sheet over solving and graphing inequalities. Page 38 is going to be a reference and workshop. The reference is going to be this blue half sheet, and then you're going to need this green half sheet for a workshop over inequalities where we will write and also solve and graph. So 37 and 38. So I'm going to turn my book to page, this was page 36 where we learned to write and solve two-step equations. And page 37, I've already glued in my half sheet on solving and graphing. So I'm going to zoom up here. This is going to be really quick and easy. I bet you're enjoying how simple this is after writing and solving two-step equations, because to solve and graph inequalities is very much the same thing. As a matter of fact, we are going to use the exact same rules for solving equations. So write that in. Same rules for solving equations. Now, something that's new for us this year is that we are not teaching you how we are going to solve when we are dividing and multiplying by a negative. That is an exception to the rule, something a little different. So now you're not going to learn that until 8th grade. So this very much simplifies the process, and we will stick to doing exactly the same rules for equations. So I have an addition inequality here. Instead of an equal sign, I have a greater than. The symbol starts wide or big, so it's a greater than symbol, and I'm just going to bring it down just like I would an equal sign. I am solving for x, so I will bring my variable down and then do the inverse of plus 4. So I subtract 4, 5 minus 4 is 1. So to solve this, all numbers or any number greater than 1 is true. If I put a 1 here, 1 plus 4 is 5. That's not equal, so it has to be greater. So I can't put a 1. I could put a 1 and a half. 1 and a half plus 4 would be 5 and a half, which then is greater than 5. So that's how that works. So all numbers greater than 1. Look here, 2 times what number is less or equal to 18? I'm going to drop my inequality symbol. To get my variable by itself, I need to do the inverse. This is being multiplied, so I'm going to divide. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So this has the small end first. So this with the small end first means less. All numbers smaller or all numbers less than 9. Now this underneath the symbol is the bottom half of an equal sign. So it's pretty much saying all numbers less than or equal to 9. So think of a number less than 9, like 7. 2 times 7 is 14, and that would be less than 18. Okay? Here's a subtraction. Drop my inequality symbol. What number is with my variable? 8. What is it doing? Subtracting. So I'm going to do the opposite and add. When I add 8, I need to do it to both sides, the golden rule of algebra. All numbers are any x value greater or equal, and then here I've got to think, my signs are different, so I'm going to subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. Let's see if it's true. Think of a number greater or equal to 4. If I put a 4 there, 4 minus 8 is negative 4, which would be the equal to part. But let's say I pick 5. 5 minus 8 is negative 3, and that is still greater than a negative 4. Let me show you. Here's a 0. Here's negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. If I put a 5 here and said 5 minus 8, that would give me negative 3. Negative 3 is bigger, because here's a negative 3, here's a negative 4. See how negative 3 is bigger, closer to 0 than negative 4? For example, it's better to owe $3 than to owe $4. So that's a little tricky. All right, dropping my symbol. What number is with my variable? And it's kind of hard to see because it's so tiny. But I hope you can see it on your paper. It's a 3. And 3 is doing what? It's dividing. So we're going to multiply by 3 on both sides. and I'm going to get x is less than, that's right, because it's the small part touching my x, and negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Okay, so later we will spend some time talking more about how to read signs and what to say when we see those inequality signs. But I'm going to talk to you about open circle and closed circle really quick. Every time you have a less than symbol, where the small part is first, or a greater than symbol, where the greater part is first, either one of these, when you graph it, you will use an open circle. But if you have a less than or equal to, or a greater than or equal to, then you will need to have a closed circle. I kind of kid around and say this looks like a nose and a mustache. So if this has a mustache, you have to color in the face because you've got stuff on your face. If you don't have a mustache, you have an open face. Okay, so when we graph on a number line, we're going to circle the place on the number line with your solution. So you can put like 0 in the middle and then number like 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. You can do all of that. But what you're going to do is place your circle on the number line with your solution. Here my solution was greater than 1. So I'm going to go to 1 and I'm going to put a circle there. Now I need to decide if it's an open circle or a closed circle. Did I have a mustache? No, so it's an open circle. That means I'm not going to include the 1. So I'm going to kind of skirt around the 1 with the circle, but not include it. And if x is touching the little end of the inequality sign, let's see, here's my x, and it's touching up, not the little end, it's touching the big end. If it was touching the little end, I would graph little or less. And if it's touching the big end, I graph big. Well, it's touching the big end, so I'm going to graph big. And I'm going to shade forward. Here's a hint at the very bottom of your paper. If your x is first, and most of the time it will be, like your variable is listed first, then run the way your arrow points. See, your symbol makes like an arrow. So when I look at my inequality symbol, I see which way to run. So I'm going to run that direction. Let's look at number 2. Circle the place on the number line with your solution. Well, you know, my answer was 9. I can just put a 9 on there. Obviously, this would be 8, 7, 6. This would be 10. So I'm going to circle where 9 is. Decide if it's an open or closed circle. I have a mustache. I'm going to close in my circle. And then, if the x is touching the little end, and it is, my variable is touching the little end, I'm going to graph little. Also, my variable is first, so all I have to do is graph the way the arrow points. Let's look at the example that was a subtract 8. In the end, my answer was a positive 4. So I need to make sure I get positive 4 on my line. I'll circle where my solution is, and my variable is touching the big end, so I'm going to graph big. Or I'm going to run that direction, again, because my variable is first. Finally, negative 6. Oh, look, here, I had a mustache. I needed to close in my circle. Here, I do not have a mustache. That will be an open circle. X is first, touching the little end. I'm going to graph little or less, and I'm going to run basically the direction that my arrow points. All right, guys, guess what you just did? You just solved and graphed the inequalities. So you should have this page filled out with some good, clear examples of open circle, closed circle, the steps of how to graph, steps to graph. And all you have to do, that was page 37, and I've got the title right here, Solve and Graph Inequalities. Let's turn to page 38. All you need to do on 38 is trim the blue page that has your notes, put it up as far as you can. If you have to go all the way up and re-put the page number, you can. I've got mine trimmed. And then the green sheet, make sure it's trimmed as well, and it fits together. We are going to do these questions in a workshop, but you want to have them all in place and ready to go. So I'm just going to touch some glue down into the corners, right underneath my page number, 38. And once again, a little bit of glue in the corners. Don't use too much glue, and touch this down right underneath it, ready for my workshop. So this page helps me understand the terms. If I say is less than, that's because my variable is touching the little end and it's pointing less. Is fewer than might be a way to say the same thing. So if I'm reading a problem that would say 2 more than a number is fewer than instead of less than right here, I would know what that graph would look like. For the greater than symbol, it's greater than, more than, or exceeding. Okay, these gives you some good terms, what it looks like on the graph, what it looks like written as an inequality, and then we will work on writing, solving, and graphing these in a workshop. All right, you've got page 37 and 38 ready to go. Head to that workshop and let's work some problems or do a DIY. Have a good day, guys.